Welcome once again to any and all that dare to watch this as I travel forward on this day 4 of the 20 video challenge. Um, like I said, each day we're given a question or situation to address about the business, and it has multiple purposes in doing this. But today the question is, what is my fear about this business? It happens to be my favorite subject, fear. Because if we talk about fear, if we look at fear, if we address fear, if we challenge fear, if we can somehow, some way get above and beyond fear, it is the central idea behind whether we can be successful at this or anything or not. And when one joins this business, so again, I'm not going to address the whole how to deal with fear. I'm going to do that in a different video, because even after the 20-day challenge is up, I'm going to continue a video series one way or another, and look at different subject matter that I feel is relevant to being successful at things, especially in this business. So we'll deal with the idea of how to deal with fear at another time. But today I just want to look at what is the fear, the general fears of this business, or in essence, what was my fear of this business. And I say was because I like to think that the fear that I came across or that I discovered and had to overcome is actually gone and in the past. Because fear will stop you, and fear will hold you back from the things that you want to achieve and the goals that you have. And even when you jump in this business and you see what's possible, you can still just be stuck in the mud and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I can't figure it out, I'm not getting anywhere, what's happening. And you've just never addressed the whole idea of what are you afraid of. I mean, there's a real quick story. Some of I was in the Air Force and in basic training. One of my fellow soldiers fell out because we were in Texas in the middle of July, and he fell out in a marching situation. And I remember that the training instructor was standing over him and just screaming at him, "What's wrong with you? Get up! What are you afraid of?" And the guy's just kind of like, just passed out, and he didn't know what was going on. And all the other soldiers, felt bad that he was getting, yelled at for, passing out. And what the instructor was addressing was that if he was faking this, or if he was weak and fell out, or if, he did it on purpose to, avoid something else, he was trying to draw out the fear and what is he afraid of. And so he was challenging him with that. And, kind of what I get from that is that we have to do the same thing when we jump in this business. We have to challenge ourselves and say, what are you afraid of? And, take a look at that and, certainly assert that what you're trying to do that you're afraid of is not, actually dangerous. But what are we really afraid of? And oftentimes it's something as simple as we're afraid of somebody's opinion. We're afraid that somebody will say no to us. We're afraid that we'll get our ego hurt. I don't know. There's a lot of things, but it's just little things that there's no reason to be afraid of. And once we can get the goal bigger than the fear, then the desire kicks in, and it becomes fun to do what you do on a daily basis. But initially, the fear for me was that I would jump in this, let people know that I'm doing it, and then somehow I would fail at it. Here's the fear. And I would feel ridiculous that I even, tried it in the first place. And certainly this is a pattern that I've seen, from the past of things I've been involved with, where I'm in with one foot. I'm testing the waters with my toe, and, instead of jumping all in. And the one thing that I found that was, how should I say this? The one thing that all the people that I have seen in this business that are successful had one thing in common. They come from all different backgrounds. They're all different, ages. They're all different education levels. But they all had this extreme drive and desire to move forward and achieve via the tools and the education that's available to anyone that starts this business. Those are there. That's the easy part. The hard part is addressing your fears and what is holding you back, and why are you not doing those things that you know that need to be done and are available to you to achieve the success. So in the beginning, when I joined this business, I was doing the same thing. I had the 1 foot in, the 1 foot out. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And so it kind of kept me from even really getting started. And hence, that's what this video series kind of, holds for me, is that it's almost like the coming out part, which I kind of addressed in a previous video as to why I'm doing the business. But, to be addressing, on video and posting on Facebook, who I am and what I'm doing with this business and where it's going, and a lot of the future questions will have to do with more mechanical things like the products and how does the pay system work and just things like that. But this was going to be my favorite subject, because fear is the central something that has to be addressed immediately when somebody decides to do this. Because if you jump in and you only have the 1 foot in, you're thinking, well, I'm not sure if it'll work, I'm not sure if I can do it. But somebody that jumps in with both feet and says, I'm going this way, I'm not looking back, as they say, put the blinders on and let's go, that's the person that will make it in his business. So I'm just thankful that I was able to come to terms with the idea or the fear of what was holding me back. And it was just to jump in and say, yes, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, and now fill in the steps in between as to what has to happen. The little steps that will get you to the big steps, to get you to the goal, that gets you to reaping the rewards of why you're wanting to do it in the first place. So I hope that kind of addresses not only again, burying my soul as to what I might have went through as to addressing the fear and getting over it and saying let's move on and there's nothing to be afraid of. And if anybody else sees this and thinks, oh yeah, well that's helpful to me, then that was the purpose of the video. We'll see you on the next one.